we dance into the fire? Hello, my friends. Hello to the rest of you. Hey, anyway, thank you for joining me. I do truly appreciate it. I get to unbox another book from Suntup Editions. And man, when I get to do that kind of stuff, it really just turns me on. Because Suntup Editions is one of my absolute favorite publishers. I have trouble with commitment. I could say my favorite publisher. But then when I say my favorite publisher, I think about some of the cool cats out there who are publishing books. And I think, man, I don't want to tell that guy that he's second best or third best or fourth best. So I cover all my bases and be very, very careful saying one of my favorite publishers. But this is a book that I read only because Suntup published it. I ordered a numbered edition when they came out in November of 2021. And some big time problems came about in production. And this book was stalled in all phases of the book, whether it be artist, numbered, letter. They were all halted, stalled, and delayed. Here it is now, May of 2023. And one of them is out in stock. I ordered a numbered edition way back when, and it hasn't come out yet, although it should be out pretty soon. But I didn't buy what they call the artist edition. On the on-sale date, I hadn't read Hex yet, but so many people out there said, oh, Hex, yes. They were excited, and it was limited, I think, to 250 copies, and it looked so dadgum good. I had rights to number 37 at the time, and when I saw the pictures of Hex, and I saw the price was cheaper than I thought it would be too. I had to buy it. I jumped on the numbered and I bought it, but I hadn't read it yet. I figured if I don't like it, I'll sell it. You know, I don't mind doing that sometimes. Get a book, secure the rights to a book, make sure I can get one, and then read it. And if I love it, then yes, I'm ahead of the game. If I don't love it, then I decide, do I want to keep it or move it on down the line? And I read Hex shortly thereafter and decided, man, this book is great. I loved Hex. Hex was, I think, I want to say maybe the first 60 pages. I was kind of on the fence whether or not I liked what I was reading. But at about the 60-page mark, I realized, okay, I'm in. I'm in there. I'm in this story. I'm digging it. I think I've got my feet under me and my bearings. And I just dug it all the way through. I seemed to like it more and more and more as the book progressed all the way to the finish. And I felt good about the finish. I liked that book. When I was done, I closed it up and said, man, I wish I could start this thing afresh. No prior knowledge, experience that experience all over again. It was like nothing that I had really read at the time. There were some things that people compared it to, but for me, it all felt brand new, a completely new experience. And I loved the book. Now, I ordered a numbered. It was signed by Thomas. It's supposed to be signed by Thomas Olde Heuvelt. The artist editions typically are not signed by the author. Artist editions are typically signed by the artist, the illustrator. Now, from time to time, Suntup had gotten the author to sign a book. Guests, the author was the artist. So Keelan Patrick Burke signed it as the author, but he was also the artist. And then with Anya Alborn, there was what they called a classic edition, where you would have an artist edition, but it would be signed by the author, and they called it a classic edition. And then Hex was supposed to be an artist edition. It was sold that way, sold out long ago as the artist edition. But because of all the delays, I reckon Paul Suntup decided and took the opportunity to add a little bit of a feature to it. And that feature was getting the author to sign the signature sheets, making it what they now call a classic edition, an artist edition that's signed by the author. And as far as I know, that's really the main difference there. And I'm a guy, I know some folks don't care if the author signs a book, but I'm openly and honestly, to me, signed is better. Signed by the author is best. And that's what I really want. So as soon as I found out, man, this book's going to be signed by Thomas Olde Heuvelt, I felt left out in the cold. Dang it, I want it now, but they're all long since sold out. And I was able, finally, to get the opportunity from time to time, however it works, Suntup would put some more books up for sale, either canceled orders, or maybe they didn't sell them all. They were holding some books in reserve to take care of the books that maybe were damaged in shipping, or the customer got them and they went through and they found some flaw that wasn't found by quality control or something. Perhaps that's what happened. And then once they're completely satisfied that all of the customers that got the books are happy, they all got their books, then they may sell the remaining copies at that point. And that's what happened to me. They sold it at list price. Somebody posted it on the Suntup Edition Collectors Group Facebook whatever page, and I was able to jump in quick enough and get one of the copies that they listed for sale, and I felt very fortunate and lucky again to be able to add this one to my collection. So let's talk less, open more. So these books have been out in the wild for a little while. Not that long, but for a little while. I want to say a few weeks maybe, but I didn't have one. Now I do, and I'm going to show you what it looks like, and I'm going to tell you what I think, because I know you might not care what I think, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You tuned in for some reason, and I appreciate it, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think. And this artwork from Chris Behrens is something that I want to talk about a little bit. And anyway, before we get to it, Suntup Editions does such a great job of packaging their books in a way that they'll get to you in tip-top shape, even in the event of nuclear war or things of the like, hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones. Suntup is prepared for that kind of stuff. And I've received some boxes that took a beating in the postal system and the book be unscathed within. And this, one of the other things that Suntup Editions does is they have custom bookmarks tailored to the book. And this one is beautiful, featuring Chris Behrens' artwork. Talks about a little bit about the book, almost a bookmark ad, but they look so phenomenal. But this Chris Behrens artwork is something that I kind of wanted to talk about, because maybe there's some not controversy, but there are folks saying amazing artwork, wonderful artwork, and there are folks saying that's not the way I picture those characters in that book. And I agree. I agree with both. Very, very beautiful artwork, and that's not the way I picture those characters in that book. And on that note, I can say I love it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with some interpretation and some artistic liberty in artwork. And that's what's cool. That's kind of part of what makes art, I think. You're not only talking about exact, specific, completely characterizing something in the same way that somebody else does, but you're also talking about a person's interpretation and stuff like that. And I think the artwork in this book is beautiful. It doesn't match the way I picture things in the book, but when I look at it, I like it. I want to look harder. I find myself enjoying it. So I am pleased with the artwork, and that's one of the reasons why I almost bought it in the beginning. I was unsure about the book, and I figured I'll get the numbered edition. For me, that's the editions that I typically want the most from Suntup Editions. I figured I'll get that, and that's good enough. And if somewhere down the road I decide I want an AE, I'll get it. And eventually, I decided I wanted it, and eventually, I was able to get it. So I'm pleased with how things worked out in that front. And one of the things about the artist editions is typically they're wrapped in this shrink wrap. And when you've got a book, a fine collectible item that people love and cherish, and you got to get this plastic wrap off, typically the tool to use is a knife. That's a knife. And that makes people nervous. Sharp blades and pointy stuff around your cherished, precious items really bothers folks. And it can be nerve-wracking, stressful, trying to get this plastic off your book and not wanting to damage the book. But I've got a secret. I've got a secret. And the secret is I cut the plastic, not the book. There you go. Tricks of the trade. If you cut the plastic and not the book, you've got nothing to worry about. So just do that. Why don't you? Just like when I play golf. If I hit a hole-in-one, it makes the game a whole lot easier when you bowl. Just throw strikes. Don't worry about the extra rolls and stuff. And just throw strikes. It makes it easier. And when you're taking plastic off, you get the biggest stinking knife you can get, and you wield that thing around like a machete in the Amazon, and you go to whacking and hacking, and you cut that stuff off, and there you go. Don't worry about it. And I'm not silly. Anyway, get this shrink wrap off. Let's take a look at Hex. I can't wait. I've been waiting, so obviously I can wait. But beautiful stuff. And this is an embossed paper-covered slipcase. And when I'm looking at it in the light, the embossing kind of gives me the feeling, let's see, can you see that? A bit of a peacock design, which plays a part in this book. If you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about here. But you get that bit of a peacock design in this embossed paper-covered slipcase. And I do love slipcases. And there is our foil stamped label. It looks nice. I can understand fully why some folks like to put their books on the shelf the wrong way, especially with companies like Suntup Editions, where they make the wrong end of the slipcase look really, really good. That looks good. It's still the wrong way to put your book on the shelf. There's no wrong way. Whatever you think is the wrong way for you. But I like to put my book spines out just the way I do it, man. Don't mean I'm right and you're wrong. Just the way I do it. But they do make it tempting with the way they produce these things. And let's take a look, first of all, at the dust jacket on this beautiful classic/artist edition of Hex by Thomas Olde Heuvelt. This book was originally published in Dutch in 2013. It wasn't published in English, translated into English and published in 2016. And I read it in 2021 or 22. So I'm a little bit behind in the game, but beautiful. And I love this dust jacket artwork. I showed you the spine already. It does look nice. And then the art wraps around to the back. So I like what Suntup Editions does. And their various ways of publishing a book. You get lettered editions, which are just mind-boggling. And you get numbered editions, which tend to vary so much in styling from a very classic stylization, like with the H.G. Wells books. This is what got me into Suntup, was these books right here, these H.G. Wells books. I love the way they were built. But then you have some that are much different and kind of groundbreaking, new designs and things like that. But they're not your traditional modern way of publishing a book. Modern way, you have a cloth-bound book or something like that, and you wrap it in a beautiful dust jacket with a great artwork on it and stuff like that. So a lot of people want this method of bookmaking, and Suntup covers that. And I'm glad. I got quite a few artist editions here too in my collection because I like them all. I like all styles. But this, let's take a look at this cloth-bound book and see how beautiful it does look without the dust jacket. And that's something that Suntup has done well and done often. They'll make these artist editions, and when you take off that dust jacket, man, they look amazing. It almost feels like a crime to wrap this thing up and hide this work that goes in there. So it looks just great, and I love this book. This is a Smithsonian binding, so high quality stuff. And man, I do truly dig it. 2-color foil stamping. Yeah, there you go. Our end papers are a solid color, and they've got a bit of a sheen. Looks cool to me. And what do I want to do next? So this book is a classic edition. This will be the first classic edition that I have in my collection. I want to find the signature page. Typically on these artist editions, you'll have the signature page in the back, and it'll feature the artist's signature, and it'll tell about how it's limited, but they're not individually numbered. And this one, there were 1,000 copies printed, but they're not individually numbered like a typical numbered book would be, where you'd have number each one 1 through 1,000. But it is signed on a signature page specifically designed, and that's what I was kind of curious. Did they just have Thomas Olde Heuvelt sign the original signature page that was already signed by Chris Behrens? No, they created a new one. So they did extra work. Instead of putting the old signature page in here and just having the author sign them, they created new signature pages. So they went all out on it to kind of make it up to folks for the delay. Sometimes a publisher has no choice. Something gets screwed up in the process, from the printers to the binders to the case makers, and a publisher figures that out and they say, hold the presses, we may have to start from scratch. And it seems like that's what happened here. They got well into the process and then found a problem and started over, and it delayed it, but it's well worth it. A phenomenal book. And as usual, Suntup Editions makes them be beautiful. So let's take a look at more of this Chris Behrens artwork. And there is our frontispiece. And gosh, I like it. And it's just beautiful stuff. And I think that's what I like most about it. It just looks nice. I forgot. I should have told you to cover your eyes, darling, because somebody might have slipped on something in there. But I don't want to miss a thing. So I'm trying to find all of these illustrations. And there we go. Golly, it looks good. I love this artwork. I just love it. When I look at it, it's beautiful. It draws me in. There's so many things going on in this picture. You got to kind of stare at it and figure out what all is in there. And that's the kind of art I like, where it takes more than a glance. It takes a little bit of focus, a little bit of concentration, a little bit of thinking. And wow, that's cool. Cool stuff. So I really dig the artwork in here. And I'm glad they got Thomas Olde Heuvelt to sign the book, making it a classic edition. For me, checking pretty much every box that needs to be checked for my tastes in a book, adding to my collection. And I guess if I want to show you what the paper looks like. It's not quite a bright white. It's a little bit creamy. And the text size, text design, there you go. If you're going to be reading this book, that's what you're going to be reading. And it does look good, and I'm glad that I might have missed a picture. I think I did. I think I missed one. So good. Good reason I kept going on and on and on. There you go. I would have missed a very cool picture in there. And that's it, man. I can think of no more lies to tell. I'm so happy that I was able to score a copy of Hex, the classic edition, to add to my collection. I really, really liked the book when I read it, and I can think of no more lies to tell. Thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. C'est la vie, baby. Doo-doo.